Welcome back to Inglés 4.0, the radio show. Let's go! Advanced. All right, hello and welcome back to the program. Today we're in class number 137. And so, as always, we'll get started with a little review of yesterday's material, or the material of the last class, class number 136. It's time to get to the point. Yeah, to get to the point. So, we basically what we're saying here is vaya al grano, or, well, ve al grano, to get to the point. To get to the point. So the point is like the main subject, the main topic, whatever we're talking about. Get to it. Don't hesitate. Don't talk about other things. Tell us what we're here to talk about. Let's get to the point. Okay? Ve al grano. Okay? So we have the expression I mentioned yesterday, to beat around the bush. To beat around the bush. And you say, I like this, enrollarse como las persianas, right? To roll up like the Persian blinds. Well, we say, yeah, we say to beat around the bush. So you're going on and on about other things and not getting to the point of the subject. So we say, get to the point. Okay? Now, yesterday we also saw the expression, the phrasal verb, to put out, apagar. So, really what's important here, we have the preposition out, to put out, apagar. But we could also blow out, to blow. Now imagine I blow on the candles until they go out. So I'm putting them out, I'm blowing them out, the candles are going out. What's interesting here is the preposition, and this preposition, out, gives us the idea that that flame is being extinguished, okay? It's being extinguished, and as you try to learn phrasal verbs and memorize them, it's very important to recognize certain common characteristics of the prepositions and what a certain preposition can tend to mean. So in this case, we're using the preposition out, which helps give the idea of extinguishing. So I can blow out the candles. I'm putting out the candles. True. How am I doing it? I'm blowing them out. Okay? I can also, we say to snuff out. Like if I pinch the wick, which is the little cotton string inside the candle, if I pinch the wick, I'm essentially snuffing out the candle, which means I'm depriving it of oxygen and putting out the flame. So the goal is to put it out. I can blow it out. I can snuff it out with my fingers. I can pinch the wick. The wick, we say. See, the candle burns because it has a wick, but the wick is supplied with fuel from the wax. So the wax is absorbed up into the wick, and it's that fuel in the wax that burns, not so much the wick itself. But there you go, the wick. Maybe you didn't know that word, but yes, the little cotton thread inside the candle is called a wick. So there are many ways I could put out the candle. So extinguish. We're giving this idea, apagar, extinguir, un fuego. Now, have you ever put out a forest fire? Have you ever had to put out a forest fire? No? Me neither, luckily. But I've seen some forest fires. See, in Canada, we have a lot of forests, and therefore forest fires occur. It's interesting, the lifestyle in Canada with so many trees, with so many forests, or I could even say so much forest. We can treat it as non-countable. There's a lot of forest there, and there's a lot of forest around my my hometown, like most parts of Canada. And I can remember when I was in school watching videos in school on what to do if you get lost in the forest. Yeah, we had to watch these videos in Canada when we were young because it was a significant, possibility. Especially young boys, they go exploring, they go looking for an adventure, and they go into the forest to play. And then you can get lost because they go for kilometers and kilometers, miles and miles, and you could get lost. So they have special teams, the search and rescue, they call it, search and rescue teams that are typically volunteer people that are prepared to go searching for missing people that get lost in the forest. So, and my father was involved with this a bit, and used to get calls sometimes at midnight or whenever, and they'd say, oh, there's someone lost in the forest. And he would have to go. My father was a police officer. He'd have to go, sometimes up in the helicopter, looking, searching for people. And so we learned these survival techniques. We were taught in school. I was also in the Boy Scouts, and we were taught certain techniques of how to stay warm and how to find certain things in the forest that you can eat. The forest in my area, certain types of plants grow there that you can eat, and how to protect yourself and how to make yourself visible to a helicopter that could be out looking for you. So, yeah, forests, plenty of forests. And so, of course, a few forest fires, but I've never had to put one out. I also talked yesterday about a grease fire. Once I had a grease fire in my kitchen. It was a terrible experience. So grease, right, like the fat, the grasa. Now, the fat is on an animal or on a person, we have fat. But grease is typically the liquid sort of fat that when you cook, if you cook a piece of meat and the pan ends up getting, we say, greasy. That grease, that grasa that comes out of the meat when you cook it. That's what we call grease. And we actually have the verb to grease the pan, for example. To grease the pan can be, to apply some grease or oil. I mean, you typically use olive oil here in Spain to grease your pans, but in North America we often use butter or different types of oils, canola oil or other oils, sunflower seed oil. I said canola. Canola is, you may have heard of this type of oil, canola oil. It's called canola because it was invented in Canada, canola, and it was a seed that was invented in Canada in laboratories, but it grows particularly well in the Canadian climate, and it yields a very good and healthy oil. So it's an alternative, and I know I have a lot of you right now saying, oh, it's not as good as olive oil. And it's not. It doesn't taste as good as olive oil, and it's not the same, but it serves a specific purpose. For some types of food, it's very good, and we can't produce olives in Canada, so we produce this canola seed from which we extract the canola oil. And it's very popular, and it's quite healthy as well. So obviously it's popular because of that. All right, so to put out, a grease fire. The point is, I had a grease fire in my kitchen, and I had to put it out, but I had to use a cloth, not water. So a little safety tip here today on the show, ladies and gentlemen. If you have a grease fire, do not put water on it because it will spread. It will spread, yeah. So you don't want that. You want to cover it with a cloth, okay, and extinguish it that way. Put it out, smother it, right? Deprive it of air. To smother the flames, and deprive it of oxygen, and it'll go out. Okay, let's move on.
Expression of the day.
All right, friends, it is time for the expression of the day. The expression of the day today is to point, right? Señalar. To point the finger. To point the finger. And this is essentially to blame someone. Echar la culpa a alguien. To blame someone. Because in English we have blame and then we have fault. Culpa, es mi culpa, it's my fault. It's my fault. But sometimes people get blamed for things that aren't their fault. So essentially we have this judicial system, this court system that tries to convict people and therefore essentially blame them and hold them accountable for the things that they're guilty of doing, things that were their fault. So essentially the court is saying, we're blaming you for this because it's your fault. You killed this person. It's your fault. You're going to jail. Now, not in those words, but this is the idea. Fault and blame. So to blame is echar la culpa. But to be at fault means you've actually done it. So if someone blames you of something, but you haven't done it, you could say, don't blame me because it's not my fault. It's his fault. It's not my fault. It's his fault. So we have fault and blame. So to point the finger is essentially to blame someone for something. He did it, and I'm pointing at him. He did it. Blame him. He did it. Okay? All right, let's move on now into class number 137. I love the way, and I love it when. Now, I remember I taught this point on television. I'll be teaching this on television today in class number 137. I love the way, and I love it when. And in the manual, it talks about cases where these are the same, but they're not always the same, okay? Me encanta como y me encanta cuando. I love the way she speaks because she has a wonderful accent. I love the way she speaks. Now I could say I love it when she speaks. Okay, if I love the way she speaks, then I suppose I'm content when she speaks. So I would, by extension of logic, I could say that I also love it when she speaks. But these aren't quite the same. Okay, it's not identical. They're not the same. And there are many cases when they are, but there are many cases when they aren't. And on the television today, I focus mostly on the ideas of when they're the same. For example, I love the way he does his comedy routine. So I love it. You could say I love it when he does his comedy routine. I love the way she plays the piano. I love it when she plays the piano. I love the way they speak in their southern accent. I love it when they speak in their southern accent. Now, changing the other way from I love the way back to I love it when. I love it when they play the Beatles on the radio. Now we could say, I love the way they play the Beatles on the radio. They're the only station that does it. I love the way they do that. But I love it when they do that. So there is a difference, but we very often use one or the other. We can very often use both, but not always. But I want you to understand that difference. So I love the way me encanta como. I love it when me encanta cuando. Okay? So imagine if I say, I love the way the music sounds on your stereo. You have a great stereo. I love the way the music sounds on your stereo. Here, I can't say, I love it when the music sounds. That doesn't make sense. I can't say that. No. Or I love it when I get letters in the mail. The moment that they arrive, I'm happy because I love it when I get letters in the mail. I wouldn't say I love the way I get letters because it's not a regular occurrence. I don't get them very often, but I love it when I do. Okay? So we'll review this concept tomorrow as well, but let's move on and take a look at our vocabulary of the day.
Vocabulary of the day.
All right, it is time for the vocabulary of the day. Our 5 words of vocabulary. Pulmones is the first word, pulmones. Lungs, yes. Good, healthy lungs. It's important to have good, healthy lungs, right? Quit smoking. Protect your lungs, right? Recompensa. We say reward. Reward. Sudor. Sudor is sweat. Sweat. Tozudo. Oh, tozudo. Thick-headed. We could say, oh, he's very thick-headed. Él es muy tozudo. He's very thick-headed. Completo y esmerado. Thorough. We say thorough. He's very thorough with his work. He may be thick-headed, but he's very thorough with his work. Thoroughh. Thorough. They're the roughh, which we say row. Thorough. Okay? All right, we have one more thing to do in this class, and we're not going to have time to get through it all. But let's take a look at our translation list.
Translation.
All right, it is time for our translation list. List number 47 today. Me las arreglo gracias a una herencia. I get by thanks to an inheritance. An inheritance. Yeah, I get by thanks to an inheritance. Number 2, si él va a estar allí, no cuentes conmigo. If he's going to be there, count me out. Count me out. If he's going to be there, count me out. So we have the expression count me in. Right? You can rely on me. Bueno, cuenta conmigo. You can rely on me, or you can count on me is what we say. You can count on me. But count me in means expect me to be attending. Imagine I'm saying, okay, a bunch of us, we're gonna go to the cinema on Friday. Who wants to go? And they 1, 2, 3. Count me in. Include me. Count me in. And then the opposite here, no cuentes conmigo. Count me out. You could say, don't count me in. Or you could say, count me out because I don't want to come. So count me out. Number 3, no quiero tener nada que ver con él. I want to have nothing to do with him. I want to have nothing to do with him. Now, of course, you could say, I don't want to have anything to do with him. Or in the affirmative structure, I want to have, and then making it negative through nothing. I want to have nothing to do with him. You could say it either way. Okay, we're out of time, so I want to finish now, but I'll be back tomorrow at the same time, and I know we still have plenty of this list to do, but we'll get through it all tomorrow and so much more. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.